We had a great time in Paris, just apart from the food. The food's absolutely disgusting, like totally and utterly disgusting.
But you're
We go,
you're a fussy bastard anyway, you know.
No, I'm not. You would just have to look at me, Derek, to realise that I'm not a fussy bastard when it comes to food. Then the main course was a choice of sliced pig snout,
Interesting.
ox tongue,
Mm-hmm.
or half a calf's head.
Amazing. As much as we're not going to do touristy things, it was good. We had a great night out in LA, so fucking hell. There's the coffee coming back to me. Hi everyone and welcome to the next episode of the I Ready podcast. As ever, I'm your host Derek. With me is my co-host Dave, and fucking hell.
And the stadium erupts in red, white and blue. You've never seen anything like it.
Let's go.
Manchester, brace yourself. Rangers are coming!
Hi everyone and welcome to the next episode of the I Ready podcast. As ever, I'm your host Derek. With me is my co-host Dave, and much like the French where he was, he's a surrender monkey and he never tried the frog's legs when he was there.
No, and I certainly didn't try the snails either, Derek. Definitely not. I think there's something a bit disgusting about that. But no, didn't try that. But no, fantastic place. Anybody wants to go to Paris for the weekend, I highly recommend it. Just do not try the food. That's all I can say.
Shite bag.
Definitely.
Yes, we're finally back. We had a wee good run there going, Dave. It was like every single week we were going, but we had to have a wee stop because Dave was on his travels. That's the story of this podcast, isn't it?
It certainly is, Derek. But do you know what I mean? It's like 20th wedding anniversary, along with my son's birthday, along with other birthdays. The month of September for me is a disaster. I was in Munich the week before that as a part of my 50th celebrations with my friends. So it was a one-off. I'm sure we'll be back to regular podcasts.
I mean, you're already away next month as well, aren't you, Dave? So... So yes,
but that's normal. That's October. That's fine. I was talking about September.
I mean, you're talking about special occasions. You know, it's just a day ending in Y for you. Oh, it's raining in Scotland. Dear. We better travel somewhere else.
Do right.
Yes. So we are kind of procrastinating here because we do unfortunately need to get into the games. We did say in the last
do we have to?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Do we have to? Oh, right, okay.
We did say in the last podcast that Russell Martin had probably the next 3 games to save his job. Well, those 3 games never went well at all. He's still in the job though, and it looks as if he's going to be in the job for some time by the look of it. But we will get into that, and we will go down the tunnel and onto the park. So we have to cover it here because finally the transfer window has closed. Some activity though, both in and out before that window closed, Dave.
Yeah, it was, and refreshing to see players going out as well as players coming in. Players that we've been saying have been needing to go for quite some time. Still quite a few players there that we've been saying that need to go out, but at least there has been some progress made with players leaving the club.
Yes, so players inbound, we've obviously covered several of them before, so we're not going to cover them all again, but the players from the last podcast, one that's really excited me, Bojan Miovski from Girona for around £2.3 million plus add-ons. Now, if you obviously you'll remember that he did play for Aberdeen, he was one of their standout players. That is an absolute steal. Granted, he never kicked on at Girona. I think they paid about £6 million for him, but for us to get that for him for £2.3 million, that's fantastic.
On paper, and if we were in any other circumstances, manager-wise, I would be absolutely over the moon with this transfer. absolutely fantastic. We were on constantly over the last 2 years about Lawrence Shankland. To me, this guy's even better than Shankland. He's also younger. He is a proven goal scorer in Scotland. I'm over the moon. If you were to ask any fan from the other side of the city, they would have been happy with Majowski. There wouldn't have been all these ludicrous statements that they've been putting out about the transfer window and everything. They'd have been delighted with him. I think it's a fantastic signing. But like I say, in the back of my mind, going by the way that we've been playing, I've got that wee bit of dread in me, thinking that we're not going to get the right service up to this guy. But certainly on paper, Derek, a tremendous bit of business for us.
And the Aberdeen fans are not raging at all, are they?
Oh, and that's what's made it even sweeter, Derek. And I think he's been adding fuel to the fire as well with some of the wee clippets that he's been putting out himself about moving to a massive club and things like that. That's really, really went down well with them. So, great stuff.
I mean, a wee bit of backing forward with the Aberdeen fans. One of them put up something like, we cried for you when we left. You were a club legend, etc., etc. And then I said, get over it. He's not even with you anymore. Even we signed your best ex-players. And then he turned around and said, he's not even in the top 50 club legends for us. And I says, that's awfully funny. Why are you crying about him then? No comment after that. So, they can't take it, and it's actually fantastic when they do this. It's brilliant. Next player we've got to move on to here in the forward position, and this one is obviously probably the concerning and the most controversial of the window. Youssef Chermiti, he's signed on a 4-year deal from Everton. From what they're saying, it's an undisclosed fee, but it's rumoured to be about £8 million, raising to about 10.5 with add-ons. Now, Thelwell signed him for Everton, so he clearly knows him. He's been plagued with injury and then he fell out of favour, so his stats absolutely are not great. It's a big outlay, absolutely. It's our second highest transfer fee we've paid. But as fans, and I've said this for a while now, we shouldn't be bothered about that. And maybe this has been the issue with the types of players we've been signing over the past 3 or 4 years, is that we're shopping in the £2 to £5 million market. Maybe we need to be shopping in that £5 to £10 million market, maybe one or two of them every single season. That's one issue. We'll get into it. But the thing with Chermiti is, he's obviously clearly got potential. I think he signed for Everton for £15 million. I know that's still a drop in the ocean for EPL clubs. It's a massive outlay for us, but I think we need to get out of this mindset of, oh no, we can't spend that amount of money. We now have backers and club owners that are prepared to put the money in. They know that they need to spend to accumulate. So we need to get out that mindset, I think, Dave.
We don't know the full ins and outs of it with regards to wages and stuff like that, because he's bound to be on a decent wage. But it's, we need to back the guy, because it's not him that sets his own transfer fee, Derek, right? So this is the first thing. And I think that automatically people are looking at it and saying, oh, well, he's not done anything, he's constantly injured, red flags. It is red flags for the fact that he has had a lot of injuries. Hopefully that's him done with them. Our history, though, with signing players who have been injured doesn't usually go very well. But again, we can't judge the guy on that. And like I said, we can't judge him on how much money we've paid for him. The only thing that's sticking in the back of my mind here, Derek, is the fact that Kevin Thelwell was the person who signed him for Everton for £15 million. It's obviously not worked out. And I've seen a lot of conspiracy theories and stuff like that. What I'm hoping is that Kevin Thelwell knows how good a player this guy is going to be, and he's managed to get him for this amount of money for Rangers. That's what we've got to hope is what's happened here, rather than him trying to make up for his mistakes of buying him before. I wouldn't like to think a man in his position would be like that, but you can't ignore things that are constantly being said online about this. But profile player, Derek, big young striker, plays for the Portugal under-21 team. So again, him and Majowski up front, we should be absolutely buoyant at the moment. If we were in any other circumstance with any other manager, any other start of the season, we would be absolutely buzzing. Signing 4 wingers, signing a proven goal scorer in Scotland, signing an £8 million striker for an English Premiership team. Any other time in our history, Derek, we would be as excited as can be. But we're all so cautious, aren't we? Just because of everything that's happening at the club, everything that we've been watching, everything that the manager's doing. We are so low in confidence as a fan base that we were so pessimistic. It's unbelievable.
I mean, Thelwell will live and die by this. This is clearly his signing. So if it doesn't work out, then we quite clearly know who's to blame for this one. So, but we need to kind of get out that mindset. Let's just back him and see what happens.
Yes, 100%.
The only other person we got in on deadline day was a loan signing, and it was a guy called Derek Cornelius. He's signed on a season-long loan from Marseille with an option to buy. This much fabled left-sided centre-back that we've been needing, so hopefully that will balance things out a bit. And to boot, quite clearly from last night in the international friendly played against Wales for Canada, he scored an absolute peach of a free kick as well, so let's hope that we see that more of him.
I am a big fan of a European football podcast which is put out by Talk Sport. I listen to it every week. They cover all the major leagues in Europe, and the last show that I listened to was on transfer deadline day, and Rangers are very rarely mentioned in this podcast, apart from when we were going into the later rounds of like European competition. But the one thing that they did say, and both of these guys who are Englishmen and are linked to the English Premier League on TalkSport, they were absolutely shocked and stunned. First of all, that Marseille allowed him to leave because he is a stalwart and the team, plays every single match, is one of their top performers and has been for quite some time. And they were even more stunned with the fact that he's came to Rangers and he's not been picked up by a club down in the English Premier League. So before me even seeing him, listening to these two guys talk about this guy, I thought to myself, he must be a player, this guy. He must be a very good player. So we just have to hope that he hits the ground running. John Souttar, who, you know, I like Derek, but he's had a disastrous season for us so far. He's looked so shaky. He's looked all over the place. If we can get someone to bring Souttar back to being a really good defender for us, playing on the right-hand side with him on the left-hand side, then I am all for it. So just have to hope that, like I say, he hits the ground running and gets in there straight away.
Yeah, and obviously with that option to buy, if it works out well, we've always got that option there. Thelwell done an interview after the transfer window closed, and he did say he wasn't a fan of loaning players and not having an option there. He always liked to have that option there, so that's quite good. The only concerning thing is that the backline have been the biggest issue of the last season and a half so far, and we've signed loanees. That is the one concerning thing for me. Apart from Souttar, I think everybody else is a loan signing, so it's not building for the future there unless you've got that option there, and we do exercise that option. I did mention the fact that Cornelius scored a cracker in internationals as well. Not a new signing, but one of the signings we made during the summer, and Tello Asgard came on as a substitute for Norway last night as well. He scored an 11-minute hat-trick and scored a further goal to make it 4 for him, so that's fantastic as well there.
Yeah, it proves that the guy can score goals, but unfortunately played for Rangers with our manager and our tactics. I think he's had one sniffy goal the whole time that he's been there. So, again, I'm feeling pessimistic already, and we've not even got into the games that we've still to cover. We should... I keep saying it, and I've said it to so many Rangers fans out there. We should be so excited just now. We should be absolutely excited. We should be really confident in everything. And unfortunately, the manager's just taking that out of every single one of us just now. I really hope that we can start to turn things round, because it should be an exciting time for us as a fan base.
Yep. So we'll get into the outgoings now, quite a few to go through. Jefty has left on a permanent deal to Palmeiras, that's an undisclosed fee. Ridvan Yilmaz, a permanent deal to Besiktas, another undisclosed fee. The controversial one from the outgoings, Hamza Igman, has left on a permanent deal to Lille, an undisclosed fee again. However, there was rumours of a £10.5 million release clause. So I really don't understand what that was all about. We were expecting, £15-20 million. That just got slotted in there all of a sudden. I don't know how true it is or not. We'll maybe find out in the accounts. Obviously, there was controversy because he was clearly working his ticket all summer. He came back injured by the sound of it, or did he? We don't know that. He had visa issues as well, or did he? We don't know that as well. And then obviously what we'll get into in the St Mirren game, he was a wee bit of a naughty boy. So yeah, the very, very short outgoing statement to announce that from Rangers, so it was quite clear they were pissed off with his attitude. Either a silly young boy or very badly advised. I don't understand that there. Clearly he's got a good move to Lille there. We've got what we think is a cut price deal. However, when you look at the outlay, there's been maybe about £2 million spent on him. A season later, he's getting sold for £10.5 million.
Excellent business.
Yeah, that's the way the transfer thing should work. So,
and let's be honest, he hasn't played that many games for us.
No.
And hasn't scored that many goals for us either. We all saw the potential. We all saw how he could be a good player. But it was just in flashes. So for us, as you say, for us to only have him for that season, and for us to earn that amount of money on him, it's excellent business, because quite clearly he didn't want to stay with us. So that's a fantastic profit that we've made on the guy.
See, if we do that every season, then that solves the issue that we've had with the transfer system. So I'm happy with that there. The next one I am devastated about, because Cyril Dessers has left on a permanent move to Panathinaikos, again an undisclosed fee. That one there, you know, he was a frustrating player because he would score the hard one, a very hard one, and he would miss the easy one. He had far too many chances in front of goal and he was offside so often, but he scored 50 goals and that's almost irreplaceable. And it wasn't his fault that he was constantly having to get put in the team, and the fact that he was constantly the only one in the positions. Nobody else was filling in that position for him. So he was put in an unfair place and he couldn't be taken out the team because we had no one else filling in. So a much maligned player. I think we'll miss him as well if we don't get the strike rate that we're expecting for these other players that have came in.
We'll wait and see. It'll be interesting now to see. It's completely different now, because if you were to put him in the team just now, and I know I keep harping on about the manager and the tactics, I don't think he'd get half the amount of goals he would, just because we're not creating that many chances anymore, Derek. But it'd be interesting to see if he was on a level playing field with the likes of Miovski, who would score more goals. You know me, Derek, absolutely frustrated the life out of me, but there was other times. I mean, the goal he scored down at Old Trafford was absolutely sensational. I mean, that's honestly one of the best goals that I've seen individually from a player. The control, his first touch and the finish down there was absolutely sensational. So he will go with fond memories because of the amount of goals he scored. He'll go with fond memories because he always looked as if he was enjoying himself. He got a hell of a lot of stick. I was one of the people that gave him a lot of stick, Derek, but he will always go with our best wishes and he'll always be welcome back at Ibrox, because he was a bit of a sort of cult following, and certainly over the last season by far was one of our best players. So that's about as the best sort of compliment I can pay him.
Yep. Next one, we've got loans that have went out now. Jose Cifuentes, he's went to Toronto FC on a season-long loan with an option to buy. Ben Davis, he's went to Oxford United on a season-long loan. This is his last year as well, so there was no option put in place there. So he's played his last game for Rangers by the look of it. Oscar Cortez, the very, very weird signing. He's went to Sporting Gijon on a season-long loan with no apparent option to buy. Leon King, he's went to Ayr United on a season-long loan. Again, this is his last year, so no option to buy. Just hasn't worked out for the youngster there. And unfortunately, he's going to be working under Scott Brown for the time being, so we'll see how long that works. The first co-op loan has taken place. Josh Gentles has went to Wraith Rovers. So he's actually still registered with us. He can come back in and out the squad, but he can also play with Wraith Rovers as well at the same time. So you will note when I get into it, he's part of the Europe. He's been named as part of the European squad. So that's how this co-op loan can work. And the last one I've got here, technically not our player anymore, but over 15 weeks since leaving us, Hadji has finally found a new club with Turkish side Alanya Spor. That's it. They're a bottom to mid club in the Turkish league. I mean, this backs up what my opinion on him was. He was good, but not as good as his dad thought he was. I mean, he signed for us in 2020 and he played 130 times. I'm actually shocked how long ago he signed for us, and the fact that he played so many games considering he was out for so long. He was bummed out the squad, he was on loan as well. So
a luxury player, Derek.
Yeah.
When the team are playing well and doing well, he looked like a very good player. When the team were struggling, he didn't look like a good player at all. And he was injured so often for us. It was unbelievable. He was on a really big wage. Again, a player who will be fondly remembered for scoring certain goals for us European nights. He gave us a lift when he came back in last season, scored into Celtic. Again, it goes with our best wishes, but it's that time-old tale of being the luxury player that when the team's struggling, he didn't add much to it at all. So, yeah, we wish him all the best, but his time had ran out at Rangers, definitely.
Yes. So overall, I think that was 11 or 12 players we've got in the transfer window. I think it was needed. We've shipped off quite a few. As you said, not as many as we kind of needed to, but sometimes you can't get rid of everybody you need to. I think going back to what you were saying as well, I think the players that we've signed are actually really good players, because some of these players, as we've seen in the games, they've just lost the basics of football. And I don't think that these are bad players. I think we've actually signed relatively good players. The back line still concerns me, the fact that they're all loan players, but the front line seems to have helped. We'll get into in the Celtic game. You've seen with Miovski coming straight into that game, he was down, coming back out of position, going into defence and defending. He was getting up and down the field. So we've got a player that's a workhorse there. Maybe it leaves us a wee bit short, but it allows us to get a wee bit further forward as well. So, yeah, there's good and bad points. We'll see what Shermiti's like. Obviously, Derek Cornelius as well. I'm positive in that respect from the signings. I just think, much like we'll get into in the Europa League draw, spoilers there, is it would be more positive if we had changed manager. But with what we'll get into in the Celtic game, he seemed to change his system and maybe understood where he was going wrong. So hopefully that was the first step in him understanding that he can't just play this one suicidal system constantly and expect things to just to work, because clearly they aren't. So what's your thoughts on the transfers overall?
I've said it already about 3 times, Derek. We should be absolutely buoyant. We should be delighted that we're bringing in all these players. We're spending money. We're bringing in a proven player like Miovski. We've managed to get rid of a lot of players. But, Derek, you know my feelings on the manager. You know my feelings on how we've been playing. We've brought in players, and in their first games, they look absolutely fantastic. And then as soon as he gets a hold of them on the training pitch for a few training sessions, they completely changed. Ant-Man came in his first game and we thought we had a world beater. He's went back. Gassama came in, scored a couple of really important goals in Europe. We thought we had a world beater. He's went back. Asgard hasn't kicked a ball. Joe Rothwell, I've still to see a player in there. Max Aarons looks a complete and utter disaster. I don't think these players are bad players. I think it's the way that the manager is getting them to play has completely changed them. And I really, really hope that it's not going to be the same way Majovski and, as I say, Cornelius coming in. But I can't change the way that I feel, Derek, and that is my feeling of dread. We should be absolutely delighted with how the transfer window has gone, and I'm very, very pessimistic, unfortunately.
Well, we will get into that pessimism now, because we unfortunately will go into the games. Not going to cover them in great depth, mainly because we never really done much in any of them. So the first game we've got is Sunday the 24th of August. It was a 1-1 draw away against St Mirren. I know we gave him 3 games to save his job, but I kind of lost the plot in the post-match of this one because I wanted him out straight away. We'll get into it though, because we lined up with Butland, Aarons, Suter, Fernandez, Minkoma, Rothwell, Raskin, Cameron, Ant-Man, Gassama and Asgard. On the subs bench we had Kelly, Tavernier, Barron, Diamandi, Dill, Igman, Moore, Curtis and Danilo. Or as the Rangers put it on their website, Danio.
Yeah, Danio.
Oh, Danio.
Oh, no, I didn't think you should be singing that song, Derek.
So really not a lot to talk about because, as I said, we never really done much in the game. 5th minute, Ant-Man plays a poor ball forward, loses out, however, chases the ball back, wins it back, drives it forward and goes direct and has a shot from outside of the box and saved by the keeper. That was a good effort from a mistake there. 18th minute was a free kick by St Mirren, knocked on and then a floated ball into our box and the Saints player had a header right at Butland. 21st minute, Mighoma loses the ball in our half, a quick break by St Mirren ending in a shot wide from within our box. 24th minute, St Mirren pressing us. We managed to get the ball down the left with Mighoma, who put in a good cross into the box, and Cameron with a volley over the bar. 25th minute, a cross in from the right from St Mirren. Aarons gets bullied, but fortunately the ball goes wide. And on the 32nd minute, St Mirren made it 1-0. Our two defenders sitting on the halfway line, simple ball between them. St Mirren player runs between them, gets the ball, gets inside the box and shoots into the net. There was a quick VAR check for offside, but it was ruled on. Fernandez in that passage of play was just casually strolling back there. And this is what I've been saying from day dot with Martin. We're playing this suicidal, putting the back line on the halfway line, where simple through balls, simple balls over the top are completely outdoing us, and that was a dead example there.
Many times has it happened, Derek, even goals that we've been lucky enough we haven't conceded, is every single time every team knows now how to punish us, and it is just that simple. Either a through ball because the defender is just on the last man and they've got the pace to beat the last man, or it's a high ball over the top, which they can just practice. Very easy. Schoolboy stuff, into midfield, look up, high ball over the top. If you do it right, they're through every single time. We're not learning from it at all. That goal was just a disaster, a complete disaster. And we've just seen it time and time again. So easy for St Mirren. And again, we don't look to be learning our lesson at all. That all comes down to the manager and the tactics that he's playing, Derek. I know the players take a lot of responsibility, but if they're told to play like that, they are going to be getting put under pressure time and time again. And one of those times is going to punish us, and it did there.
Yep. 37th minute, St Mirren with a shot over the bar. 38th minute, scrappy play ending in Asgard poking the ball towards goal, and the keeper who was on the deck manages to clear it off the line. 45th minute to end out the half, Gassama on the edge of the box on the left turns his player and gets a shot off but comfortable for the keeper. So disaster in the first half. A few changes into half time. Mighoma and Ant-Man off, Moore and Danilo off. Again, it's one of these situations we could have changed anybody in the team. 50th minute, from a chance for us that was easily cleared before the keeper was called into action, St Mirren go right up the park directly, force a save out Butland. A direct contrast from us in opposition, and I've said it for a number of seasons now, and this is not a new thing with Martin. The opposition always put our keeper under pressure. We never do the same to the opposition keeper.
Yep.
62nd minute, Asgard with a turn and shot from distance, Trundles by the left post. He came off on the 65th minute and Diomande on. 68th minute, Aarons comes off, Tavernier come on. 71st minute, a long free kick from St Mirren to the left of the centre. Header to the right side of the box to Gogic, who was in space and blasted it high and wide. It should have been in that one there. 76th minute, Rothwell off and Curtis on, and he's an absolute super sub because he done it again 2 minutes later. On the 78th minute, Curtis made it one each. Corner from the right, knocked clear to the edge of the box by our own player. Right to Curtis, who has a shot on the deck. A slight deflection of two players and in at the bottom left corner. It might have taken a deflection, but taking Curtis to have that opportunity to take the shot, which other people weren't doing, that made it one each.
Derek, what do you always say? Every single podcast that we've done for the last 5 or 6 years, if you don't have a shot at goal, you're not going to score, regardless what happens. And you've said it time and time again, any shot can take a deflection, any shot can fall for a player, any shot can go straight in. And you just said it a second ago, we don't put the other keepers under enough pressure. This young lad, he comes on and does instinctively what he's been doing all of his young career, playing for Rangers, and that's scored goals. And he's not a striker. He plays for, off the left and off the right, and he just basically came on and stuck to his own game. And that was have a sighted goal, have a shot, and then he scores. I think the lad is worth his weight in gold for us because he's one of these players who maybe doesn't do much during a game. He maybe looks a wee bit untidy, but out of all the 22 players on that field, every time I see him, he's the one that looks most likely to actually get a goal. And he's proved that every single time he's played for us, and he basically got us out of jail in that game, or out of jail as sorts. So delighted for him, and it was just so simple for him as well. He just finds space, he goes for it, it ends up in the back of the net. Simple stuff. Not overthinking anything, just have a bloody shot at goal.
90th minute, Cameron with some great tenacity to win the ball back on the left side. He passes inwards, passes to Tavernier, who switches, has a shot, deflects off a player, deflects off the head of the defender, and a great save from the keeper to put it out for the corner. 93rd minute to wrap up the game. There was a long free kick from St Mirren, floated into the centre of the box. Gogic with a header looping in, and a great save out for the corner by Butland. So, once again, that was the third Premiership game in a row where the opposition should have beat us quite convincingly if it wasn't for Jack Butland in goal. And Jack Butland's been the standout player, I think, this season so far. He's saved us in every single game we've played, apart from the Celtic game there. But yeah, just another shambles, and that's where I lost the plot because nothing was changing. Absolutely nothing. In the press conference after this game is that Russell Martin, he probably dropped a bit of a clanger, but I think he was in some respects quite right to see it, that Martin was about to bring on Hamza Igman, and Igman said to him on the bench, I can't come on, I got injured in the warm-up. Now, as Martin said, well, that's something that really should have been said, before the game kicked off, and not just when he was about to come on. So, yeah, Martin was maybe wrong in saying it when we were trying to sell him, and he could have maybe just jeopardised any transfer fee we've got for him. But quite clearly, there was an issue with Igman and his attitude there. Why didn't he say this? I mean, that's a usual thing to say, is if you get injured in the warm-up, you don't keep it quiet. So, yeah, that was a really strange one from Igman there, and, clearly an attitude issue for me.
Definitely. He knew that the deal was done, in my opinion. He didn't want to jeopardise himself getting injured, made up some absolutely bullshit excuse. So, after that, I think everybody kind of washed their hands of him. Did the manager deal with it correctly, Derek? I don't think he did. I think that was a bit naivety on his part. He was obviously pissed off and annoyed. I realise that he's under pressure, but as you say, it could have jeopardised the move. It could have jeopardised the amount of money that we got for him. So I think he made a mistake as well. But for a guy that's supposed to be injured, he came back a few days later after that, scored on his debut for his new team, and he was playing at a few days ago internationally and scored for Morocco as well. So quite clearly wasn't injured, Derek. So we all knew exactly what was going on there.
Yeah. However, if that game was bad, this game was an absolute abomination, because it was on the 27th of August. It was a 6-0 loss, 9-1 loss on aggregate away against Bruges in the Champions League Playoff Qualifier, Leg 2. Dave, I'm not going to cover this in great depth, to be honest.
No, I don't think you should cover it at all, Derek. I think you should just say when the goals were, because for me, personally, this was a sackable offence. This should have been the final straw. I don't care the level of opposition. I don't think that Bruges actually are that great a team, especially Champions League level. I think we basically just made them look absolutely sensational, and I really don't think they are. And the manager should have been gone. If it was up to me, I would have sacked him at half-time, but it didn't happen like that. But Derek, you can cover the game as you will. I don't think anyone out there will be that bothered if you gloss over it as quickly as you possibly can, because it was a disaster from start to finish.
I mean, we quite rightly were gloating against Celtic the previous night, because they got put out off a team from Kazakhstan who have never been in Europe before, who are sitting something like 250 places below them in the UEFA rankings. Celtic, went out in penalties. They never scored over the two legs at all. Absolute abomination from Celtic. And this game, we knew it was going to be difficult. At least Bruges are a proven Champions League side. They've been in the Champions League 7 out of the last 8 years. So they have got that pedigree there. Like you said, Dave, they're good, but I don't think they're that good.
100% they're not. No.
We've played better teams over the past 4 or 5 years.
Dare I say it, and I'm not one for... Do you think that with Philippe Clement in charge that the scoreline would have been that scoreline? Because I think that we would have been in with a fighting chance going in both games. And we all know what happened with Clement. We all knew that he had to go. But I think that with him in charge of the team last season, I think there might have only been like one goal in that game between the two teams, considering how we play in Europe. But this was just a complete and utter abomination for me.
I mean, ironically, he said Clement there because he was at the previous game, I think, at Ibrox, because
yes,
obviously
he's
managed both teams. So, yeah, a couple of interesting, I'm not going to go through the full team here, but a couple of interesting omissions from the team. Obviously, Tavernier was dropped to the bench. So was Raskin, which was unusual, and obviously there was no Egeman there. Obviously, we've seen Tavernier coming in for the European games. We've said it before, Aarons has shown absolutely nothing so far. And we'll get into it as well with Aarons. However, the problem with the first leg is the fact that we just capitulated within the first couple of minutes, and we thought, right, if we can keep this tight, maybe the first half an hour, we've maybe got a chance going into it. However, it all went to shit within the first 8 minutes, because on the 5th minute, Bruges went 1-0 up. It was a ball worked down the left, lovely cross in, the attacker with a diving header right between the two defenders. If that wasn't bad enough, Aarons completely threw the jersey because he got himself a straight red card for hauling back the attacker well into our own half. It was a goal scoring opportunity. He was keeping up with him. That's what I don't understand. He had the legs of the player. Why he had to haul him back, I do not know. It was quite clear at that point there he wanted off that park. I don't think anybody can tell us anything otherwise. Everybody else has mimicked that thought. That's basically the long and short of it, Dave, isn't it?
I don't know what the hell he was thinking about. A rush of blood to the head. I don't know. The guy has never looked comfortable in the team, Derek. Never. We can't say that there's been a game where we thought, oh, he's turning the corner here. He looked completely out of his depth. Totally. We all slag off James Tavernier. We all give him. But when it comes to playing a big European game like that, there's no way that he should have been in. Unless he had merited it, Derek. But he certainly hasn't over James Tavernier. And again, any slim hopes we had, and I realised when we conceded the first goal, the tie was over. But him going down, we all knew how this was going to end up. It was going to be a complete and utter annihilation.
Obviously, we had to make changes to shore up the defence. Ant-Man came off and Tavernier on. So any hope we had, not that we had really any, to be honest, when we went 1-0 down after 5. Yeah, that was the game done. But from there, it was just an absolute pounding. They were peppering our box constantly. Some massive saves from Butland. He kept us in it there. We went 2-0 down on the 32nd minute. It was from a corner, from the right to the middle of the box. Our defenders couldn't jump. I think it was their captain jumped higher than us, and a lovely header into the left side of the goal. And then on the 41st minute, a complete capitulation until the half-time whistle blew. It was 41st minute, 45th minute and 47th minute. We went 3-4 and 5-0 down by half-time. The defence was all over the shop at this point. Nobody was trying. Everybody was absolutely at 6s and 7s. It was an absolute shambles, Dave, an embarrassment.
It really was. Tactically, we're all over the place. We kept saying it can't get any worse. It can't get any worse. There was the changes, and again, I'm harping on about the manager, and this is just sounding like me just having a complete rant all pod about the manager. But this does come down to the manager, Derek. If he was this top coach that everybody at Rangers says that he is, he should have just shut up shop then and there, stopped anything, made some changes instantly just to stop us conceding, for us to get on the ball. The midfield was so powder puff, it was unbelievable. Their captain was strolling about all over the park. We made their captain look like Roberto Baggio in his prime, and he is a good player. He is an internationalist, but he really did, because we were getting nobody anywhere near him. Everybody in midfield was completely totally lagging behind. There should have been a change instantly. There wasn't, and it was just goal after goal after goal. It was just a complete and utter nightmare. And like I said to you, Derek, if it was up to me, I would have sacked the manager at half time after watching that, because that showed me that the players weren't buying into his system at all. They didn't have a clue what they were doing, and we just looked complete and utter amateurish at that stage.
Yeah. So into half-time, Rafter changes, Rothwell, Asgard and Agasama off, Raskin, Curtis and Diamande on. 50th minute, Bruges made it 6-0, again another shocking defensive play. 59th minute, Danilo off and Barron on, and I stopped taking notes at that point there. Bruges, they taking the foot off the gas at that point, really. They could have made it...
Thankfully.
Yeah, they could have made it 10 if they wanted to. And that was really all I've got to say about that game, an absolute capitulation. Apparently there was some words said at full time after the game, quite rightly there should be. Obviously that then meant we were out of the Champions League, completely into the Europa League, which is more our level. I'm kind of glad that we're in the Europa League, because we would have got absolutely annihilated every single game. You're probably looking at that kind of result every single game with the way we're playing just now. The one other thing I've got to say is there was a pyro display by our fans before the game. We currently have a suspended UEFA sentence hanging over us. Why? Just why? We're one instant away from getting partial stadium closures at Ibrox. We need all the revenue. We need all the support we can get in Europe just now. Why are you doing that? Makes no sense whatsoever. So I don't know if there's been any outcome of that yet, even if they have charged us. But if there is a charge coming, we know what's coming. It'll be a partial stadium closure.
Can we not ask UEFA if we can just ban our manager for the games instead of the supporters? No?
Well, might be an option. Next game, though, we've got to cover. In the last game, it was Sunday the 31st of August. It was a 0 each draw at home against Celtic in the Premiership. Not going to cover this in great depth either. The only one notable thing, no Raskin in the squad. Now, there's quite clearly been a falling out with Russell Martin there. He's more or less confirmed that after the game as well. There has been words spoken. They are going to sort it out. He obviously wasn't sold in the window. He's got 2 years left in his deal, so unless he gets sold this winter, I don't know. It looks as if they're going to be clear the air talks. There kind of needs to be. I think he scored in the international last night as well.
Yeah.
Barry Ferguson did give a kind of wee insight to him and says, you know, he is a bit of a wily so-and-so or whatever he said. I'm paraphrasing there. He says that he will answer back to managers and he will try and find out, not out of any malice, but out of just wanting to find out stuff about the squad. So he is maybe one that's been a wee bit vocal and the manager hasn't taken too kindly to that. Right, I can understand if he's questioning tactics, but that is maybe the thing that is an issue within the squad. You can't have disruptive behaviour. Raskin, I can imagine he's probably a well-liked player. He's probably our standout player of the last 6 months. Bearing in mind, we've seen him in fits and starts up until that point. He's only really came into things in the last 6 months, so I don't think he has that seniority yet. So I think he has to watch what he's doing as well. Yes, he is an asset to us. He is going to be a big player. He's getting his game for Belgium now, but he needs to be mindful of that attitude as well. So I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying that is something that some managers don't take too kindly to. And as much as we are, you know, Martin's not flavour of the month with our fans now, and people will side on Raskin's side, you need to kind of see both sides on that one there.
I am getting flashbacks. It's funny that you mentioned Barry Ferguson there, but this goes back to Paul Le Guen, doesn't it? This goes back to everything that happened with Barry Ferguson, and I thought it was quite funny, Barry Ferguson actually commenting on it, because I felt like saying, you anybody should be keeping your mouth shut at this stage, because exactly the same thing happened with you, and we did back the player back then, Derek, and there are a lot of similarities between Russell Martin's time with Rangers and Paul Le Guen also. Paul Le Guen didn't obviously get backed as financially as what Russell Martin has, but there's a lot of similarities there. I think we need, the manager, if he wants any credibility, needs to show a wee bit of experience here. He needs to have the clear the air talks, because he is a popular player, and I know you're saying he might not be a senior player, but if you look at the amount of new players that are in the team now, he is one of the players out there that can say, well, you know, I have performed at a higher level, I have done this. Although he's not won a lot since he's been there, he has been one of our consistent performers over the last season. So I think he has to be very careful here, Russell Martin. And like you should never ever back the player. We did it with Barry Ferguson, I think, because he was the captain. We knew all about him and stuff like that, and we knew how bad things were going under Le Guen. If Russell Martin doesn't watch, you could have the same sort of situation here as what happened there before. And I don't want that to happen, but I can see the similarities.
You've got to understand there is similarities, absolutely, but it was quite clear that if David Murray's to be believed anyway, Le Guen was working his ticket with another club, and that's the reason why he got sacked and he effectively got backed. And if you remember what happened to Barry Ferguson, he got hauled into the office afterwards and said, I will back you on this occasion, but if you ever pull anything like that again, you are out the door. And obviously Boozegate happened and he was out the door. So you've got to take that into account there.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Obviously, with the Raskin situation missing this game, he ran the show the last 3 Old Firm games there. He ran that midfield. He was not letting anybody get bullied. He was getting in McGregor's face. So that was potentially going to be a big loss here. But I think it's quite clear for this game, and this is before the transfer window closed and Celtic fans have spat the dummy. Celtic are an absolute shambles of a team. It's quite clear looking at this Old Firm game. We are dire ourselves, but Celtic were 10 times worse than us. The game itself was an absolute borefest. I mean, there was only 5 shots from us, 4 shots from Celtic. Celtic never had any on target. We only had 2, and they were pretty much trundlers. Granted, we had the ball in the back of the net as well, which was ruled correctly offside. We were the better team. I wouldn't say we were outstanding, but we were the better team, and it was all down to effort. Now, you can't say it was great application. That was the bare minimum we expect from a Rangers team, to put in that kind of effort. So on that stage, yes, it was much better. We dropped this suicidal high line from the back and we were stopped camping out on the halfway line. We did get a grip of that kind of mid to back line area. The midfield were still missing because we still weren't getting the ball towards the goal often enough. That's the reason why we only had 2 shots on target. Miovski was working his way all over the pitch, and he's going to be a great player. Again, it was the kind of touch of the Kenny Millers though, because when you needed him up front, he was making his way back from doing the defensive job. So we need more of the defence to do their job properly.
Which you shouldn't have to do, Derek.
No. You've seen improvements with Dessers, but he was never one to dig the ball out for himself and start a move, whereas you've seen that with Miovski doing that. In terms of the game, I think we should have had a clear penalty on the 7th minute. Miovski was through on goal. He was shoved in the back. No penalty given. It was clear for me. People have said, no, he instigated it. He kind of moved his foot over. Well, yeah, he did kind of come across. Did their heels clip? Yes, but he was clearly shoved as well. So it was a penalty all day for me.
100%, and it looked to me, Derek, as if it was the most rushed review that I've ever seen in a game. I hate to do this if that was them, but 100% if that happened at Parkhead, that would have been reviewed for quite some time before any decision was made. But with us, it was an almost instant that it wasn't going to be a penalty, which I was really shocked about.
Yeah, up the other end of the park, it probably would have been.
Yes, exactly.
We had the ball in the back of the net on the 32nd minute, how it was ruled offside. It was a long free kick from the left, floated in. Suter rises up, puts himself in that area, right in the middle, and heads it into the back of the net. However, a VAR check shown that Suter's head was offside as he kind of leant in there. So, unfortunately, that was the correct decision. So, gutted about that. Second half, it was really a nothing game. Couple of substitutions either side. Celtic had a couple of opportunities. We had a couple of opportunities. Never really came to anything. It was a very boring and lacklustre Old Firm game. An absolute bore fest. So, as much as we never lost the game, We never won the game. We never created as much. We were definitely tighter at the back, but Celtic never offered anything either. And this is where they're in absolute shambles. And then obviously get into the fact that their main striker is now wanting away. There was a deal agreed and now it got cancelled by Celtic because they never had replacements. They've signed a bunch of players. Nobody likes them. Spent a wee bit of money, but not as much as Celtic want. They're there for the taking, and that's what annoys me. And I've said it before, you've said it as well. If we have a manager that can work his tactics a lot better, and hopefully this was the start of it this game, then they are there for the taking. We just need to wisen up.
Any other manager, and I've had this discussion with quite a few people that I know, right? And you can maybe say that I'm talking absolute shite all you want, but this is just the way that I feel at the moment. I feel right now that if we put any, and I mean any other manager currently employed in the Scottish Premier League, Brendan Rodgers aside, obviously, because he's the manager of them, if we had any other manager in charge who had a grasp of Scottish football with the players that we have at their disposal, we would have beaten them absolutely no problem. If we'd had somebody, even like the likes of David Martindale, who I'm not saying is a great manager, but just knows the basics on how to set his team up, how to attack. With the players that we have, we should have been able to beat them, no problem. And that is where I am still harping on about the manager, as I've got no confidence that this is going to get any better. And it should be, we should be going out and blowing teams away with the players that we've got, and we just can't do it. We're always second best. And that game let Celtic off the hook majorly, and it's still for some reason is making the manager look slightly better because he maybe changed his tactics so that we didn't get beat at home against one of the worst Celtic teams that we've played in a long, long time. That it doesn't wash for me at all, Derek. I think that was an absolute disaster of a result for us as well, because like you've said there, they were there for the taking. They're absolutely deplorable as well, but they're top of the league. They're still undefeated. I know we're still undefeated. That's what the manager keeps clinging to in the league as well. They're still top of the league. We aren't. And that was just a disaster for me as well, that game, Derek.
And what is telling about this is the fact that both after the Bruges game and after this game, I mean, you're talking within 10 minutes of the game finishing and him doing the presser, he's already kind of came out and said, yeah, I've had discussions with Andrew Kavanagh and the board, and, you know, I've got their full backing. So quite clearly, straight after, unless he's just making that up or he's been already told that he's not getting the sack regardless, then he's having conversations with them. That's not a good sign either. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Is it the dreaded vote of confidence, Derek? Is that what you're looking at this as being that he's had from the board?
Well, I just think it's strange that from the full-time whistle to the presser, it's been like 10 minutes. And he's already had conversations after both games, allegedly, that, yeah, everything's fine, I've got the back end of the board. So is he really having these conversations? Which, to be honest, if Kavanagh and Marathi have spoke to him right after the game, after these results, that's a bad sign, to be honest. Or has he already been told that, yeah, you're going to be safe? Has he been told that before the games? I don't know. He's obviously still in position just now. Thelwell in his interview did say that, you know, and results have to improve. We'll see how long he gets. Bit strange that the special one was sacked by Fenerbahce in the same window. So,
so I know I'm not reading too much into that one either. But I know that we're sort of sidetracking here. But this is how badly that I am rating our current manager at the moment. There's another manager out there who I cannot stand, and he's the current first-team coach of our national team, and that is Steve Clarke. I've got no time for Steve Clarke whatsoever. I think he's a dreadful manager. I think he's the most negative manager that there is. I realise there's a lot of Scotland fans out there that all like him. But my son actually said to me midweek, who would you rather have in charge of Rangers right now? Steve Clarke or Russell Martin? And I thought about it for a while, and I came up with this conclusion that Steve Clarke would have generated the same amount of attacking play, I think, as what Russell Martin has at Rangers so far. Therefore, we would have scored the same amount of goals as what Russell Martin has. but Steve Clarke wouldn't have conceded any goals in the Premier League in Scotland. So if that had been the case, in my way of thinking, Rangers would be joint top of the league at the moment, undefeated. So if there is a damning verdict on our manager, that is it. That I think that the current Scotland manager would be doing a better job in charge of Rangers than what our manager is at the moment. There you go. It doesn't get much worse for me, to be perfectly honest.
Dave, go back to France.
You're not disagreeing with me, Derek. That's all I can say.
I think you need to go back and think that one through. But,
I don't know. I'm telling you.
But anyway, as a result of the Bruges game, we were drawn into the Europa League. So that game happened on the Wednesday. The draw was on the Friday. People were saying that look at the draw that Bruges got, and that was a nightmare just as well. You can never take that into account because of the way they work the pot. So that's not exactly the group we would have got. But anyway, the Europa League group, we draw home to Roma, Braga, Ludogorets and Genk, away to Porto, Ferencváros, Sturm Graz and Brann. So, again, I need to preface this with any other manager, then this would be a fantastic draw. I think we've got a really good chance of getting out of that. Certainly top, was it 6-24, I think it is, that go through, at least to the playoffs. Certainly a good chance of getting top 8, but that's if the manager has a lobotomy or we get a new manager. 25th of September, we're at home to Genk. 2nd of October, away to Graz. 23rd of October, away to Brann. 6th of November, at home to Roma. 27th of November, at home to Braga. 11th of December, away to Ferencváros. 22nd of January, at home to Ludogorets. And to wrap it up, the 29th of January, away to Porto. So probably the hardest game we've got last. Hopefully everything's done and dusted by then anyway.
Exactly like you said there, Derek. Any other circumstance with any other manager, we would be feeling confident about that group.
Apparently, mobile e-tickets will be issued for our home games there. They're introducing these games for those games and domestic home cup competitions as well. So that's quite an interesting thing. That worked really well, Dave. I think, was it an e-ticket we had for the...
It was, yep.
Yep, so that worked really well. Because of we're now going to be playing on Thursdays, a number of fixtures have been changed to Sundays as a result. So that's all up on the Rangers website. So the Europa League squad was announced as well. Goalkeepers, we've got Butland, Kelly and Kieran Wright. Defenders, Max Aarons, Derek Cornelius, Giga, Fernandez, King, Jayden Migoma, John Suter and James Tavernier. Midfielders, Asgard, Barron, Cameron, Diamande, Gassama, Moore, Raskin and Rothwell. The forwards, we've got Ant-Man, Chermiti, Gentles, Miovski and Danilo. So one of the big obvious omissions there, no Kieran Dowell.
No Kieran Dowell, and I don't know what the script is with Finlay Curtis, Derek, the one player that we were hyping up, the one sort of bright spark that we had. I don't know if there's some sort of B pool squad that we can pull players from that he might be in, but him not being there as well, for me, I think I would rather have him in there than Danilo, to be perfectly honest with you, but I don't know what the situation is with that one.
Yeah, I think something tells me, and I might be wrong with this one here, the homegrown young Scots can play. They don't need to be named in the squad in the team, so I might be wrong with that one. Obviously, one thing we meant to say is Leon King was named in that squad as well. I think the loan was a last minute thing that only happened yesterday or 2 days ago, so he's obviously going to be out that squad. So I don't know if you can do substitutions afterwards for players. I'm not too sure, but yeah, as best a squad as we can muster there.
Yeah.
So the last thing I've got here, because we've got no news today, is the games to come. The next game we've got is Saturday the 13th of September. That's at home against Hearts in the Premiership. That's a 3 o'clock kickoff. Saturday the 20th of September. That's at home against Hibs. That's the League Cup quarter final. That's the dreaded 17:45 kickoff. Thursday the 25th of September at home against Genk in the Game 1 Europa League. That's an 8 o'clock kickoff. And to round out September, Sunday the 28th of September, that's away against Livingston in the Premiership. That's a 3 o'clock kickoff. So, like every single game, very important.
It is And we keep saying it as, you know, the manager, we said before, he's got 3 games to save his job. I don't think he has, Derek. I don't know. Maybe the vote of confidence might be a thing that goes for him. It might go against him. But right now, I keep saying it for about the 8th time in this podcast, we should be excited, but I can't get excited at the moment. So we'll just have to wait and see, first of all, what happens on Saturday, what team he puts out, if there's any change of the way that we play, and see what the result is at the end of the game.
Yep. So, it's now time for Fessel Corner.
Do you like Dick? No, I don't like the Dick, but I like Dick Advocate, you know what I mean?
Finally, a bit of humour. My husband had a shit in the bathroom while I was in the bath. He washed his hands in my bath while I was still in it. Do I leave him?
Oh, disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
I've been pissing in the sink for the last 10 years. The average cost of a flush is around 1 pence. Averaging 6 toilet trips a day over 10 years, that's nearly £210 saved. Ching ching all the way to the bank.
Why would somebody even sit and figure that out? Oh, mental.
My wife broke her arm cycling. She asked me to help her with her makeup tonight. I agreed and asked for her guidance. And now I know that the proper word for foundation is not grout. I used to visit a spa in Brighton that was notorious for swinging and being a sex club. One day I spotted my best friend's mum being taken to one of the orgy rooms with 4 other men who were at full mast. We made awkward eye contact and didn't say a word. I never did tell him.
Oh my God.
I had a massive boil just at the bottom of my nutsack. I pulled and she was wanking me off down my jeans. Have you come? She asked as my boil popped, leaking pus everywhere. Yes, it was easier than explaining the grim truth of what she had on her hand.
Oh, Megan. Oh, absolutely Megan.
And to round it out here, I'm addicted to eating cold Rustler's burgers straight from the packet.
Derek, this is you, isn't it? This is you.
After the weekly shop, I eat one in the car before heading home. My husband can never find out.
You've changed that. I think you've changed that to try to predict your identity.
Yes, I am the Rustlers fanatic in this group. So
oh my God!
I don't take it that far though.
Well, I don't know. Like, I think that's your wee secret, to be perfectly honest with you. But
so, on that note, we will end the podcast here. Not great here, but we'll see what happens. You know, we're obviously stuck with Martin now. As I said, maybe the Celtic game was a changing of his attitudes and a changing of his tactics. We can only hope, because certainly if he sticks with what he's done so far, it's not going to work and he's going to be having a P45 very shortly.
We'll wait and see, Derek. We'll wait and see. I've said my piece time and time again during this podcast with regards to the manager. We'll just have to wait and see what happens in our next match against Hearts.
So, all that's left to say is thanks for listening and goodbye.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
And the stadium erupts in red, white and blue. You've never seen anything like it.
Let's go.
Manchester, brace yourself. Rangers are coming!
Or, amazingly, Dave, we were invented with these things called hands.
Fuck off. Fuck off.